Let's get alive. Let's get alive. Let's get alive. All right. How's it going, guys? Starting a little bit later than normal. Sorry for those of you who are waiting. I know the anticipation is hard, but you made it. So thanks. Thanks for sticking around. So can everybody hear me okay? Can everybody see me okay? Can everybody see my poof ball okay? Like I was saying, I didn't want to run over Rico Stan's chat too much if I could help it. And I know Bentley at 6 or 6:30 has a chat usually too, so I like to try to get out of his way by then. But let's get things right. Get things squared away. So Mary, thank you so much for the super sticker, the 99-cent super sticker. I so much appreciate it, my dear. Thank you. I really do. I had a dream that everybody gave me a 99-cent super sticker one day, and there were like a quarter of my viewers watching, and I was like, holy cow, that's like $5 grand. And it blew my mind, and it was like more than I make, you know, in months. It was like 3 months worth, all from $1 each. One of those weird dreams. The other part of the dream was I was on a train, and we were headed somewhere moving through Canada. I knew that in the dream for some reason, but we were like on this Arctic train, kind of like Snowpiercer, where like all these people lived on this train, and it had like 2 or 3 floors, different stories. It was odd, to say the most. To say the least, it was real odd. Denang, thank you so much. I appreciate it, buddy. $5 super chat. Man, if everyone give a $5 super chat, I'd be swimming in the money. I'd be Scrooge McDuck. Uh-oh, I see what people are doing. They're making my dreams come true. Ooh, 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 ooh. Cass, thank you so much for the super sticker, 99 cents. And Stephen Pe 2003 2000 not or ZZ and 3. Thank you so much for those super duper scooper chats. How is everybody now that we're settled and I have enough money to operate for the next 5 minutes? Oh, thank you, Crypt Keeper. I appreciate you letting me know that the sound and audio is working and the video is working too. Let's see here. I'm just going back to double check I didn't miss nothing that I need to address. Now, if you have a question for me, please just use the @ symbol and then The Secret History Living in Your Aquarium. You don't always have to write out my full channel name. You can do @Alex, and there's a good chance I'll see it. Now, if you are a member, the $1.99 a month membership, which you get access to my community tabs, also to fish news and my sources and sites. But basically, just so you know, too, if you watch the Aquatic Morning Show and you like that segment, you can still watch that. It's free. You can watch it every day. But I do anywhere from like a 3 to 10 minute segment on some topic that's in the news or that's been published or that was this day in history so many years ago, that sort of thing. Interesting, trivial stuff related to fish that I do in an episode segment called Fishery. Well, I do 4 to 5 of those a week for the Aquatic Morning Show over on Jess's channel, Mains, Tails, Fur, and Fins. And in those segments, she's just playing from a video. So I've made that video without any ads or anything. You can watch all 4 or 5 at once in a row, available to any channel members. So I'm not denying anyone anything. I don't like that's the thing that I always hate, is trying to come up with like, how can I give you guys a perk that's a little more incentive and a thank you for those of you throwing in a couple bucks a month or whatever, because it means a huge difference to me in the scheme of things. You know, having a few hundred of you guys that give me $2 a month makes literally doubles what I make on YouTube compared to the ads and stuff. So I can't thank you enough. And then it's just that stability. So I'm just trying to think of more ways to not deprive anybody, because I feel like money shouldn't be the deciding factor. If there's some high school kid who, 17, doesn't have access to a credit card or whatever, you're just really strapped for cash. I don't ever want to like be a gatekeeper of things revolving around money. I don't like it. It feels icky to me. So in any case, I'm just trying to think of any incentives that I can. So if you guys have any ideas, you always feel free to chime in and let me know. I appreciate it. Eve Howard, thank you so much with the $10 super sticker. I didn't even know you could do a $10 sticker. That is amaze balls, as my wife says. Chance Larson, 99-cent super sticker. Oh, and we got Earth Inspired, who is, and Eve, by the way, both members and throwing down the super sticker. Holy cow, thank you. Denang, $20. You guys are being so freaking kind to me today. I need a dab, $5. Wow, and Alex Engelhart with the Benjamin. Holy cow. All right, have a good night, guys. Bye. No, but seriously, thank you. I appreciate it. I am healing well. I'm feeling a lot better today, honestly. Pain had been real rough. I'm on about day 10 right now since the surgery, I guess. Wait, yeah, about day 10, and I'm feeling better. What makes me feel better, I can deal with a little bit of pain. I mean, pain it sucks, but I can deal with some of it when I know that there's light at the end of the tunnel, when I feel like, okay, I'm healing up. And the other thing is, I've had a lot of fun researching the fish news stuff. And, I always do that. It's part of my normal routine, but I've been able to just sleep essentially and rest and kind of I get worn out easily, and they said that would be the case for several weeks, definitely. So in any case, hopefully it should be getting better. It should be getting better. I've got to admit, it's getting better. It's getting better all the time. It can't get much better. Hold on one sec. I am making Dee Dee there you go, Dee Dee. In case you're a gal with the magic gaze, and so you're now a moderator, so you can delete Russian bots if you want to on your own. But thank you for keeping an eye out. I really do appreciate it. Paul McCarthy, thank you so much for joining as a member. Yeah, welcome. Thingamatorium, $2 super sticker. Thank you so much. Chance Larson, welcome as a member. Man, we are having a freaking pledge drive tonight. That is awesome. Thank you so much, guys. Laura Sutton, $9.90. Whoa, we are on a roll. I don't know what I did. What did I do that you guys are being so good to me? I mean, goodness gracious me, oh my. All right. So, yeah, I'm doing good. And I'm feeling pain, but it's more like, what do you call it? Tissue pain, like soft tissue, like where the cut is. There's a cut, and I can show it to you guys, but I'll probably do that. I'll have my wife like hold the camera, because otherwise I'll probably just show you my butt. But no, it's down low on my back, and it's not in the center. It's off to the side. But they had to get something the size of the bottom of a Coke can in there, and so the cut is that wide across, but they opened it that tall as well. So needless to say, they did some tearing and trauma to the area that was a little bit more than they had expected, and that tissue now it's finally stopping like the bad muscle spasms that were really, really getting to me. and it's doing just kind of just achy, and then there's a wound, and the wound is like nothing, even though it's like, you know, right to my spine and a big old cut. But they must use such a sharp knife that it's no biggie. Denang, thank you so much. Says therapy, please. $20. I will be. I start physical therapy 6 weeks after I start. Or wait, is it 6 weeks or 12 weeks? I'll have to look at my packet again. But yeah, it's not until it's been a little while. Right now, I'm supposed to be doing nothing. I'm not even supposed to lift 5 pounds. And I'm not even supposed to like sit or stand or lay or anything while I'm awake for more than 30 minutes. I'm supposed to switch that every 30 minutes on cue. And then I've got a couple easy stretches I'm supposed to do. But that's enough about me and my silly old bacchiotomy. Elliot Bacon from Canada, he must be in one of those trucks. Says, hey, Alex, I have a 15-gallon long. That's a cool size. I had some algae issues and did a big clean and ended up scraping all my plants. Any easy plant recommendations? The tank has Corydoras, pandas, and black phantom tetras. Right on. You know, I would say, let's see, so 15 gallons. You've already got some panda cories and some phantoms. So, Corydoras can oftentimes pick at plants. So if you have, I don't know what your substrate is, but if you have sand, they'll dig in it quite a bit. And sometimes that's amusing. Sometimes people like that and it's fun. And I mean, I think it's cute to watch sometimes. Other times you get fed up with them because they do things like this. This actually wasn't Cory's. This was Petricolas. But look at this. I've just got all these crypts that they've dug up completely from the sand. I planted them 2 days ago, and actually we might look at these later this live stream. But yeah, it's we've got 3 different crypts here that are, it may be of interest to some of you. I don't know. But in any case, I would recommend for easy plants, you know, if you're getting algae on there, I'm guessing you're getting a diatom algae, probably that kind of powdery green algae, or it may even be a soft algae on the plant, or even blackbeard on the edges of like Anubias and stuff. And if you get a faster growing plant, you won't face that as much. So things like Java fern, Bulbitis, Anubias, Bucephalandra, and sword ferns, those all gather that stuff really easily. But if you can get something that either blocks out some of that light that's making the algae. I mean, I've got a couple of videos on algae, and you can take a look and try to decide what's the best approach for you on blocking it out, whether it's that you need to increase the lights and the nutrients and have plants that are fast growing and let them outcompete that algae, or whether you want to do like a blackout or you want to use chemicals. There's a lot of different approaches that you can take, but I would say plants that go really well when you're having algae issues: hornwort, kabamba, bacopa, water sprite, wisteria, Elodia, parrot's feather, nausea, or guppy grass. And any of those will give you tanks like these, where then you can just take big old clumps of it out and not have to worry about it. But, you know, Anubias, crypts, ferns, pretty much, honestly, a lot of the stuff you see, like if you go to aquariumcoop.com, they have a lot of those low light, low nutrients plants, so that they're low maintenance and they're easy to care for, but they tend to build up algae a lot. And any plant with a broader sized leaf, it tends to stick around a while, and that can be a bit of a problem. Nilani says, thank you for the members cost so low. It's about all I can afford. Most people charge $5 or more. Thank you for charging $1.99. Yeah, no problem. I would have made it a 99 cents, honestly, if I could have. Because it does add up, and you know, it just, yeah. So I'm so glad that it's within reach for you. And like I said, you can still access anything pretty much that's in there. It's just out without paying. It's just you're gonna have to pay attention to what I say and jot down like what journal and or university something was in, or the name of a movie or a plant or whatnot. Whereas I'll just post in the community tab for members the details and the links and things I'm watching that I think are fascinating and educational and that kind of stuff. Denang, thank you so much, man. Wow. Did you talk pets to the staff at the hospital? I talked a little bit about fish. One of the nurses that was taking care of me after I was waking up from the anesthesia, she actually, her boyfriend, I guess, or husband, I don't know, whoever the fella in her life was, he was into aquascaping and a fan of Aqua Pros and Foo the Flower Horn. Were the names she knew offhand. And she texted her husband, or the guy, whatever, husband, I guess, and was like, hey, I met this guy at work today that did so and so. And he was, I guess he was like, oh, awesome. Tell Alex I say hi. So that was a really like small world, really fun little moment. But I was that was one of the first times I've been inebriated, intoxicated in quite some time, coming out of that. And because of my past, the last time they tried to knock me out for surgery, they were like, all right, count backwards from 100. And so I'm like 199, and I'm like down at like 77 or something. And they're like, doctor, shouldn't he be asleep? Yeah, it is a HIPAA violation, but whatever. I'm not going to bust anyone's chops over that. But yeah, I was still awake when I had my root canal, or not root canal, wisdom teeth out, and then when I had all the bottom teeth out too. Well, I was awake. I wasn't supposed to go out for that anyways. I was just numb. And so for this, I was like, yeah, I have a tolerance. You're going to need to give me a lot of whatever drug it is that you guys are going to use. And so they did, and I was still awake. And so they gave me more. And I definitely, it went from like, oh, wow, I'm getting sleepy, but I don't know. So yeah, they can always turn it up, and they monitor your vitals, and it's all good. So in any case, all right, well, let's talk about some fish, shall we? I think fish is probably on the agenda. So it's good to see everybody in here, by the way. I love to see everybody in here. Dennis, Lara, Tennessee Aqua, Dee Dee, Cass, Upper Aquatics, Dr. Anthony. Actually, Dr. Anthony, I was going to bug him. You guys, I want to work on a video on the 5-ish, maybe. He can correct me if I'm wrong here, but 5-ish main branches of fish. And it's not strictly 5 that like branched off all from the same precursor thing. It's like lungfish and stuff are one part. And then, we're more closely related to fish than we are to lungfish, like to the bony fish. We're like tetrapods, anything with 4 limbs. They're all like on a family tree of life on this planet. They're all like in this little section here, and then there's like mushrooms, plants, and then there's the other fish that separated like 600 million years ago. So I want to do a video on just how split, how far back some of these things occurred. It's pretty incredible. When you talk about millions of years, some things you're like, oh, it took them 5 million years to evolve this extra little fin or the ability to do this or that. And then in other cases, it's like, oh, it took 100 million years, and you still got, things like crocodiles that got a game plan going that worked out pretty darn good for them. So there's that. But let's see here. Of course, Lori, good to see you, and thanks for being here. Susan, what's up? Curious Merlin, I love that. Aquarium Co-op is live. Ah, okay. So I'm just all sorts of my usual time is just all sorts of, you know, every time I've moved my time, Aquarium Co-op has ended up kind of being somewhere right around it, like and vice versa right at first too. Like he and I for some reason are like in sync mentally with when we want to go. But I've been at Tuesdays at 4:30 ish, give or take a half hour usually, for now 2 years, I guess, year and a half, pretty much actually since Schmovid. And then before that though, I always did Wednesdays, and then I moved, and then yeah, he did too. So it's kind of like I give up, but I don't know. Is he doing? It might be the members only stream, and that was one thing that I thought about for a while was, should we do a members only stream? You know, we've got a few hundred members, and you guys are, you know, you are, but you're all awesome. And then, you know, I thought it might be a way for people to get their questions asked. But honestly, if you have a question, I feel like I try to do a pretty good job all week long looking for questions. I mean, I'm always paying attention to the comments you guys leave, and always learning from what you guys have to say, and learning just new things and just adding tidbits here and there. So there's all that. Don says it's the members only stream. Okay, so anybody who wants to get questions answered or to actually chat, you can come over here. It gets too crowded over there. So let's see here. So the other thing that I was going to mention before I talk about what I wrote the title about, and there might be some fish we want to look at tonight in this room while I banter on also, just because some of them are looking really pretty in spawning condition, is that somebody asked me a great question the other day in the comments, and that was, how are we most related to fish, or what is it that we share in common behaviorally or evolutionarily or physically or whatever with fish that you find interesting, or most quirky, or I don't know. I don't remember how they worded it exactly, but then somebody else said, yeah, I have a class full of, I think they said 7th grade students, and we're going to start talking about marine biology, and I'd love to find a way to talk about how alike we are with some of the organisms that are there in the marine environment. And so I was thinking about it, and I have a book called Embracing Your Inner Fish, and it has like everything you could ever imagine, from like our lungs to our circulatory system to our organs, and how they differ evolutionarily from like bony fishes or cartilaginous fishes. And as I said, I want to do a video on basically the family tree, the genetics of fish. But when you get to like lampreys, jawless fish, or coelacanths, things like that, they're so different. They're so alien compared to the other fish that are out there. Wow. I was just looking over, and my my big boy here, if you can see him, he just ate a shrimp and literally just coughed out only the legs. It was very odd. He ate a little Malawa clear shrimp, and just like, I don't know, 7, 8 legs just popped out of his mouth. It was very strange. So in any case, things in common between us and fish. And I thought about it, and one of the things that I find to be really fascinating is that, evolutionarily speaking, we left. So we were all these critters swimming in the primordial oceans. All right, Dee Dee, get gussied up for your stream. The girls' ladies' night stream is at 6 o'clock if you're my time. So that would be in 40 minutes, I believe, right? Am I right, Dee Dee? Or are you guys am I off? But yet another reason, man, I'm inundated with streams around this stream now. So I need to, maybe we'll rethink what day we do streams. That might be a poll question. Anyways, back to the, what is it that we, or what is it that I thought was interesting about humans and fish? And one thing that I really think is interesting is that we have evolved from a creature that lived in the oceans and then decided that it could eat more little buggers on land, you know, little, whether that was like insects or worms or whatever it was. It decided that coming to the edge of the water and coming up and getting out, or maybe to avoid predators, we don't know, but whatever it was, it came up out of the water, probably very similarly to things like mud skippers, honestly, and then over time got the 4 appendages and got up and started cruising around doing their thing. And those life forms that were walking around as little lizards, then they turned into little marsupial, mammal, proto rodent type things, proto primate, maybe little lemur type things, and then eventually into primates and then into humans. Well, through all of that, through 490 million years of critters coming out of the sea, getting the 4-legged model, and yeah, that's us. Our arms are still part of that model. We have 2 arms, 2 legs. We're tetrapods. If you cry, if you bleed, we kept the homeostasis that the world's oceans had. So instead of totally being able to adapt to living on land and maybe like having neutral water or neutral blood or tears or sweat, that's not what we have. The most of the salty fluids in your body, and most of your body's just made up of salty water, basically. A lot of it is the same pH as the average pH when you sample it around the world. And it is the same salinity, which I think is really cool. So the same happens to be true of freshwater fish sometimes too, which is that they've kept the salinity within their system, and that's how they osmoregulate through osmosis. They're able to either let their cells swell up with water or drain out and equalize. And that's why freshwater fish versus saltwater fish actually have to drink water, whereas freshwater fish don't. It just absorbs in and basically goes towards the salt in their blood. And yeah, so I think I got that right, unless I got that completely 180. I think I got that right. Dr. Anthony can tell me if I got that backwards or if I got that right. But in any case, yes. Oh, somebody else mentioned the fact that they used heart tissues from humans to make a little swimming fish thing. Yes, I saw that as well. The pulses, just like when Indiana Jones, when the heart's beating at the Temple of Doom. Yeah, then the heart tissue muscle actually has a memory, so to speak, where it will beat it will send potassium ion signals, electrical signals, to keep beating, even if it's been cut out completely of the body for some amount of time. Well, they took those same cells that actually start beating at a small cellular level, and as the heart grows when you're an embryo, all those cells like beat in unison. It's really cool how that works. But it's kind of kind of neat that they were able to take that pulsing heart cell thing and able to use it to flex one way with the tail and then back the other way with the tail. And so they made this little swimming fish robot thing that's uber teeny. Let's see here. Amy Lou, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It says, sending you healing juju. Thank you for helping promote Fishtoberfest. I just attended the third, the third Guppus meeting. So you saw Anthony Mazeral speak. Dr. Anthony spoke. I watched him online. Great speech, by the way, Doctor. What's his name? Ian bootlegged the stream for us for about 10 of us that happened to be watching. So that was pretty cool. Yeah. So let's talk about the title. And unless, hold on, let me make sure I didn't miss any big question. Silver Creek Aquarius, hello. So it says, but why does every mix of species become infertile? History shows 0 species mixtures that were not infertile, just species. Wait, what? I'll need more context for that question because I don't know what you're referring to, but I'm trying to wrap my head around that. Because not all species get infertile. I mean, there's like the Amazon molly where males go away. There was actually a recent article saying males will not be needed. And it's been thought for quite some time by evolutionary biologists that the Y chromosome is not necessary, and that females, because it's happened in several species, females will be able to reproduce without males. And so evolutionarily speaking, they believe that might lead to that. But that being said, there's a whole lot of advantages to having sexual reproduction. If nothing else, you've got the whole amazing part of like competing for a mate's attention and so forth. So that system would probably need to be replaced. As an evolutionary biologist perspective, I would assume that you'd want that replaced, because if there's, I mean, even if you account for inbreeding and the genetics and things that can go wrong there, you have to then account for the whole survival of the most likely to reproduce, most likely to spread their genes. And you have to, the males being the strongest and the toughest, but also not so aggressive that they go out and fight and get themselves killed before they can reproduce. It's like the sexual selection and reproduction kind of keeps things on this middle path of not going too extreme. Like, yeah, the fish are bright and pretty, but they're also camouflaged when they're not doing their mating dance so that they don't get eaten all the time. So I don't know. I'd have to know a little bit more about that. Though Anthony Mazeral says, is not that they're infertile, it is just that their viability is not 100%, maybe 85%. But evolutionarily speaking, that 15% is huge. Are we talking about hybridized infertility? Wait. Oh, yeah. Okay. So, yeah. There's also a phenomenon called hybridized vigor, with a V, vigor. And it is when, because you have an animal that has hybridized, they become bigger, healthier, and stronger. They get the best of both worlds. Now, that's less common than the opposite, which is like a feeble or just ordinary. I mean, somewhere between worse and ordinary, like a mule or something. But And actually, that may be a case of vigor. I don't know. Mules are pretty tough. So you get a donkey and a horse, and you end up mixing them, and you get this best of both worlds type thing. But with like a liger, a lion, and a tiger, for instance, you get an animal that is quick, that is just as intelligent as either one of them, and that is like 20% bigger body weight mass by, you know, it's just crazy. So the genetic slicing goes both ways in life. Yeah. All right, let's see here. And I see your joke too, but I do want to throw it out there. Nalani says, I don't know, today's youth seems to be devolving. Yeah, so I do want to say though too that I often will say too, like, we evolved for four arms, four limbs, and making it sound like it was this inevitability, this march forward, this progress that's good. And it's not that it's good necessarily. It just is. It may change in a year because the environment changes, or because the population of some prey goes up, and for a million years the species is getting better and better, and these fish are learning to hunt, and they can they don't even need to use their eyes. They can hunt, and they can track down, and they can move through muddy waters like in the Mississippi. And then all of a sudden, who knows, instead of muddy water, the water in the Mississippi starts running clear, and it's like all of a sudden you've got this thing that was this inevitable march to this place that now needs to be completely marched somewhere else. So I think a lot of times we kind of forget that a little bit. Cassie B says, mules are infertile. Are ligers also? I don't know if ligers are. And yeah, most hybridized critters are. But like, if you take an erythromicron and you take a celestial pearl danio and cross those, they can have babies. Their babies can have babies. They look kind of interesting, and they are generally a little bit bigger than either one of them would be on their own. So they have that hybridized vigor. Okay, ligers are infertile. The other one that's interesting is camels and llamas. You can make a cama or a llamal, and what's crazy about that is that they're from different hemispheres. So we're talking 45 to 52 million years ago. Some point in there would have been the last time that they could connect via the South America touching Africa when they were together, or not. Well, when there was a connection, and then maybe through the land bridge, if because there were like woolly camels, there may be another connection there or something. But regardless, it's a pretty crazy far leap to have an old world animal and a new world animal that hybridize, and that is the case with some cichlids. But I just find it very interesting. Denang, thank you so much again. Says, love the old metal frame on your title. Just picked up a Pemco with an overhead sump. Nice. Yeah, that is a Pemco in the thumbnail on this video. It is a Pemco tank, and it's I think they said it was 1957 is what the owner said of that shop that it was in the front window of. But I wanted to go interview him about it because he's got a collection of the Metaframe tanks. Brian, is it Levi or Levi or Levay? I'm guessing Levi. Says, edible aquatic plants. I know about duckweed. Have any other floaters or fast growers been studied for edibility and nutritional content? That's a great question. And yeah, Bacopa monnieri is actually used extensively as a medication in India and Pakistan. as well as naja grass or guppy grass, najaensis. It is used kind of like bean sprouts, I guess, in some Thai and Vietnamese dishes. Just kind of extra fluff. But there isn't a really good list. And I would like to see a lot of the allelopathy or allelopathy, however you say it, of the plants underwater. We know things like jungle val and corkscrew val and duckweed have an interaction where they can melt one another, and they kind of have a war chemically going on with free organic carbon that they throw off. But yeah, let's see here. Okay, so let's talk about real quick here what I was alluding to in the title, and it wasn't that important that we touched on it today, but I decided that I did want to say something because I think I'm going to make another video about it. And so when it comes out, if you guys like it, you can help me push my agenda and brainwash the youth. But no, I've been getting a lot of questions lately that are like, Alex, I set up whether it's a gravel tank or it's a sandy deep substrate, or it's a plenum, or it's a Dr. Novak anoxic filtration tank, whatever the case may be. It's a X, Y, or Z tank, and they're all under the guise of Wallstad, or at least a dirted or soiled or mulmed tank. So essentially, they may not have an active substrate. So we're not necessarily talking about things with the ammonia added, like true ADA, or a lot of the aqua soils that are designed to have that low-level ammonia straight to the plant root, because plant roots feed better off of ammonia than they do off of nitrites and nitrates. Now, they'll feed off of it in the water all just the same, and in the water column. But if they can, those roots much prefer to get a low dissolved concentration of ammonium or ammonia to feed off of in soil or substrate. If it's too high, though, it burns it and it will kill the plant. So it's this like tightrope act. But in any case, the interesting tidbit that I always think about is when you set up a tank like that, whether you're going to do father fish and his deep substrate sand tank where he just piles on the sand, that can work really well. That can work really well over time. But a lot of these tanks, you need to give them time. And in the meantime, same with like if you have no filter, a lot of times you need to let them build up to the point where you can kill the filtration. And I have a whole video on that. I think a lot of you have seen it. But as an example, if you start up a tank and you're going to have a good amount of fish in it, you want it to cycle, right? So you do the things that helps it cycle. You need the ammonia to reach a tipping point or a critical point that's equal to or greater than the amount of all the fish in your tank making waste every day. And you need to have that amount, if not more, being created in your tank so that the cycle can begin, obviously. And then you get the ammonia turning into nitrites, into nitrates, and then the nitrates get consumed by either the plants Or in some cases, if you're doing the Dr. Novak method, and a lot of people think of him as kind of a grifter or kind of a scam or huckster. And the science is sound. Anoxic filtration, it's not a scam. It's a thing that works. But what I would say is that the trouble is that there is room for error. If something gets clogged, you can have a problem in the little BSB systems. The slow-moving plenum also, cool idea. I've incorporated it in tanks. I've played with it. I've hidden it under the aquascape in the other room, and I think it's helping. But I think it took a good 6 months to a year before it was actually, so to say, seasoned and trapping the nitrates and nitrites, converting them via bacteria that eat sulfur and iron, and that actually turns it back into ammonia, and then the plants eat that ammonia. Now, there's another system in which you can use absorbers like Safety Zorb or diatomaceous earth or whatever, and you're just allowing the ammonia to get saved up in basically a reservoir, and at some point that maxes out unless you have plants tapping in. Now, as I said, if it gets too intensely full of ammonia, it becomes caustic and it actually burns the plants and they can't use it. But if you keep it in that sweet spot, they can use it even better than they can use the nitrates that are floating in your water. And the only other way to get nitrates out of the water is going to be pulling out your plants, literally cutting them, ripping it, whatever, getting the mass out of there that had nitrogen atoms that are now in the matrix of cellular life that is plant tissue, or water changes. So you got three options. You can sequester it or trap it and put it in the substrate, and then maybe the plants will get it, or maybe it'll stay locked away for some amount of time. But the thing that I always hear people neglecting to tell you when they're pitching a specific method of fish keeping or a specific tank philosophy. And by the way, I just want to say again that everybody has different ways of doing things. And to me, I've shown a lot of different ways in which I've done things, but I always think redundancy is ideal in the long run. So yes, I have filterless tanks, but they have filters floating in them, not with air going through them, but enough that there is a starter where if I did turn on the air, within a day or two, they'd be fully operational again. They are, or I have a hang off the back filter ready, just literally right now. I literally have one sitting right there next to the non-filtered tank. That, and you want to test it. So actually, Cassie B is who I was talking a little bit about this with too. And, a lot of people don't talk about the fact that when you are building your planted tank, your substrate, whether that's 6 inches of sand, whether that's gravel, whatever it may be, a lot of people will say, okay, I'm using gravel and I'm going to, and if you don't cap it off, what do I do? Do I clean up the mulm and the fish poop and the dead leaves and things? Or do I let them stay and let the ammonia go up? And if you're doing something like an anoxic filtration or a plenum or something, that's where you might run into problems in that you might not have a system that reacts quickly enough that will process ammonia and not make your fish sick. It may take a several day period or several week period to start engaging and processing that ammonia because the bacterial areas are not colonized yet. And so when you're talking about a new tank or aquarium, you kind of have to commit to, yes, I'm going to let the fish poop and it's going to fall all down in between the rocks. And that fish poop is then going to, within a few days, if you've got a well-cycled tank, become inert. And if you have shrimp and snails and secondary decomposers, it's even quicker. And then that basically becomes soil, and you've basically just got a mix of dirt or soil and and uh, and gravel. Now, if you've capped it, that was weird. My voice kind of squeaked. If you've capped it with sand, that then you can actually use high ammonia aqua soil. You could use a ADA Amazonia. You could put a bunch of root tabs in there. You can do whatever you want as far as plant fertilizer goes, because it's trapped underneath that sand or silt cap. Or if you have enough inches of it, like 3 or 4, you can use gravel, or if it's fine gravel or pea gravel, maybe 2 or 3 inches can cap that off. But you still want the buildup of that mulm over time, making its way in little particulate matter into there. And in that time, you need to be doing your water changes, or you need to have a hang off the back filter that is bigger than, than is even like needed for that. So that if there is a spike in your 20 gallon, maybe you want a filter that's good enough for a 30 gallon for this phase. Same thing is if, you have a big sword plant and it dies or it's melting, or maybe you had a big algae bloom or cyanobacteria bloom. And because of that, whatever you did as your route of treatment, some of the plant tissue has broken down too. Well, it's going to turn into nitric acid, humic acid, and carbonic acid real quick. And over time, that can swing the pH. So it's also important to buffer your tank. So what I'm getting at is all these planted tank systems also need micronutrients and buffers. And we don't talk about that enough. Father Fish has a powder that he sells basically that has those micronutrients, that has some iron and stuff like that. And you can add it as a booster. But to me, it's not really a booster. It's a must-have. In all the tanks, you either need to put the nutrients that your plants are going to need in the substrate. You need to have it ready there. And if you go through Aqua Design Amano ADA out of Europe, out of Japan, or if you go with like Dennerle or Tropica, you will find that those companies sell like power sand or super dirt or super soil. And that's different than daily water column dosing. And so no matter which system you check, 1, redundancy is going to be helpful. 2, you need those micronutrients and micro ferts to really just have what your plants need there. Unless you're just going to hope to grow algae and anubias and I don't know, something else like that, you're going to be stuck. And so you really need the zinc, the manganese, the magnesium, the even though you got to be so careful, but a little bit of copper. You got to have these things in amounts that are in, literally parts per million, down in the low end of things. But how do we get that into a tank if we want it to be a Wallstead tank or a natural tank? This is what no one talks about, and that is we need to either literally put it in the tank and set it and forget it, and it's not going to last forever because, remember, we're removing nitrates by literally removing mass of plants. So at some point, you're going to need to stuff more nutrients back in the soil or inject root tabs or pellets or something. But the one way that I've found around that, and how I've seen and talked to people with tanks running for 20 or 30 years, is going to be by feeding quality, well-rounded food and having that microbacterial biome, the fungi, all sorts of little water molds, and also the algae, the bacteria, protozoa, proteast, whatever it may be. It's having a diverse ecosystem where these different things concentrate different little aspects of those little pieces of the puzzle that your plants need to survive. And if you're doing some crazy aquascaping tank where you've got, super red rotalas and things, like Florida Ramosia or Rosevig or something, then you need to have like 0 nitrates. Yet if you have 0 nitrates, you're going to actually, I mean, it's going to, there's not enough energy for the plants to grow. And so those micronutrients won't get used. And so the waste is going to build up again. So it's all about knowing what magic ingredients need to go into that cake batter. But the way you can do this holistically and sustainably is by feeding good food, by feeding live food or frozen food, and by looking into, you know, maybe you've got cichlids in there. And this goes back to stocking too. You need to stock a well-rounded tank. You don't want all predators that are just going to eat bloodworms all the time. It's got a bunch of iron and manganese and zinc, but what about the other things that they need in a food? Like, what about the magnesium or the potassium? All of that needs to be in your food, and I feel like everyone neglects that, and that's why buying food can be so expensive, but is so critical. Is you need to have a well-rounded diet of food, and so that's why it's also really interesting and crucial to read the reports out of natural magazines and journal journal articles and things that say what's in the fish when they cut them open, because a lot of times it's not what you would expect. You know, maybe it's mostly insects and things, but maybe there's a bunch of worms or whatnot. So that's kind of the thing that I wanted to touch on about the title. Okay, so also Denang, man, you've been helping so much tonight. Thank you. Says sand needs to be at least 0.5 millimeters, as Dr. Novak says. No pool sand is too small, but play sand is fine. Yeah, so I mean, there's different opinions of that. You know, the thing about Dr. Novak is his science is correct, and I think that's fine. But one, he's not a doctor of anything related to fish. He's a smart guy. I don't want to I mean, I'm not a doctor of anything, but it's not like asking Dr. Mazerol what's best for fish. Isn't he like a doctor of applied like engineering or something like that? Which that's great, but he didn't invent this thing, and he often pushes it as he did. Anoxic and anaerobic filtration has been in sewage treatment plants. There are published papers from 1909. If you just go on Google Scholar, just go to Google, type in Google Scholar, then go to Google Scholar, and then look up anoxic waste treatment. It's all there published. So all these methodologies have been thought of and used, some of them since like the Roman times. They just didn't know what was going on. And I'm not saying that makes him bad or anything. I'm just saying that there's a bit of an ego sometimes and a bit of like, this is the way you have to do it. And also, I should say that I'm grateful that somebody has taken it on as their pet project and is obsessed by it and is very interested in it, because it is a different way to do things. And I think for like koi ponds and larger systems that are more homeostatic, I think that it is a really good option. Now, for a nano tank, I just don't necessarily think it is. Yeah, Dr. Tim did have his master's thesis on ammonia. Yeah. Yes, phosphate is the most limiting nutrient in an aquatic system. It's also what causes a lot of algae in some cases. But phosphates, if it weren't for humans and laundry detergent and industrial uses, phosphate would be nowhere to be found. I mean, all the phosphates, I have a couple episodes on this. This is a side tangent. I won't go too far down it. But all the phosphates that are in the Amazon rainforest and the Orinoco rainforest, they blow in, and literally at a replacement rate. There was a paper published about 2 or 3 years ago, and it is the sand in the Sahara that is made up of a seafloor that is 1 billion to 500 million years old. And it is those little shells and little life forms, diatomaceous life, that is turning into dust due to wind and due to weathering. And it gets kicked up in these giant dust storms, the fine particles, up into the upper atmosphere. And then every hurricane season, we can predict, due to the intensity of the Congo basin, the Congo River Delta in the Central African Republic and the Congo, all the way out up to where the Congo exits, and then also the Niger Delta and basin. We can look at the intensity of lightning storms and strikes per minute and predict how that will translate into hurricanes in the next month in North America. And the phosphates, the Amazon is notoriously depleted of phosphates. And in fact, the natives figured out a way to burn wood and make a mix of several other things. And they made this stuff called black soil or black gold. And we don't know what it is for sure to this day that they did to make it. But it put phosphates, it put carbon back into the soil. It was like crop rotation. Because in the Amazon, it all gets washed away. So if it weren't for the dust, and by the way, rain does not fall unless there is a dust granule or particle for it to fall from. It all needs a nucleation point. So every raindrop has a little speck of dust or something, some debris at the center. And it is usually phosphatic dust, maybe a few molecules is all, from the Sahara Desert. And literally the amount of water flowing in the atmosphere from Africa and the Sahara, swooping down into the down the southern longitudes and latitudes, going through that area where there's all those storms off the coast. And then if you go to Venezuela, where the atmospheric river is entering back over in the Orinoco, there is more lightning strike. There are more lightning strikes than anywhere in the world in this swamp right there in Venezuela at the coast. And I think Suriname maybe too, or Guyana maybe. I don't know. I don't remember which French Guiana. I don't remember which one it is, but there's along that northeastern coast of South America. There's an area where all that the atmospheric river, as they call it, comes abroad and causes a ton of lightning, like 320 days of lightning a year. It's really insane. Likewise, the Congo forest and river delta has a lot, but the Congo basin, so inland, like the Okavango Delta and Okavango floodplain, which is closer towards the Rift Lakes, kind of the other side, that area has the second highest concentration of lightning strikes. So lightning is made when all those little dust particles get water forming around those little particles. So you have almost like a snowball that builds in size until it's a droplet of water. And then the hot air of the desert and of the jungle goes up. And so these little grains of water, condensation, because water is a polar molecule, starts forming around it. And remember, at the center, we've got those phosphates. And that phosphate goes up into the air, and at 30,000 feet or whatever, it gets cold and it turns to ice. And it keeps building because the updrafts are so intense. And then that ice falls back down and starts to melt again as it's falling thousands of feet. And as it does that, those particles hit each other and they break. And it's just like rubbing two balloons together and making your hair go up. It creates static electricity. And that is what either negatively or positively charges a cloud for lightning. So all that phosphate comes over the ocean in the form of humidity, granules of moisture and dust in the upper atmosphere from the Sahara. And if it weren't for the dead ocean-dwelling animals at the bottom of the sea that are now, due to continental uplift, in the middle of the frigging Sahara Desert, if it weren't for them coming, getting blown around into sand dunes and things, up into the upper atmosphere, and then coming across with the jet streams, then with the hurricane season, spinning it down towards South America, the Amazon would not have the plants it does. Literally, there are tons of phosphates that fall on the Amazon rainforest every year. And it's equal to almost exactly what they need, the phosphates, exactly what they need. And if you look at it, it's like less than 5% difference between how much gets washed out to sea every year and how much falls back in rainfall into the Amazon. So it's this incredible symbiotic system that is like razor thin margins. It could be thrown off, but it works. And it's one of the most amazing, beautiful things about the earth. You know, when you see these systems that are that big, the entire half of the world from, you know, Africa to South America, the whole Atlantic Ocean, and that's the phosphate cycle, and that's going to be your most limiting factor in your aquariums. It's just, to me, it's really beautiful. It's really interesting, and yet you also need lightning to make nitrites. Lightning is what forms them, or in the center of a star, and naturally. So I do need to get up and move around, Danang. Thank you for the warning. But I have a couple episodes called like, what does lightning have to do with the Amazon? I think, or what is the amazing link between lightning and fish? Maybe might be another one. But it also creates ozone, which is one of the other gases and things that fish smell, that they have the receptors most delicately tuned to. They can sense it 1 trillion parts, 1 part per trillion. We can sense it 1 part per billion, which is incredible for humans. But that's how like catfish and stuff can sense where fresh water is or when rain is starting to fall, and it triggers all sorts of hormonal things and breeding responses. But man, you guys have been so generous tonight. Thank you. I'm gonna roll up shop here pretty soon. I do need to stand. Thank you, Danang, so much for the super chats and for the reminder to get me to stand, because oh boy, I am one stiff live person. And also, Dr. Anthony, I saw your super chat as well. Thank you. I appreciate it. I always appreciate that. And hopefully I'll be calling and bugging you soon about the I was sitting on the floor. I've sat, I guess it's probably due to I do a lot of yoga, and I have always sat like crisscross applesauce or Indian style, Native American style, whatever you want to call it, folded legs style. Since I was a kid, that's just how I like to sit no matter what. If I have an option of a chair, I'd rather sit on the floor. And when I got all sorts of back problems, that continued to be what felt better. So it's just what I do now. And yeah. Let's see here. Amazon is saying, yeah, to fix nitrogen. Is that what you're saying the lightning does? Are you commenting on my rant, or are you saying that I will call you because you'll help me fix my nitrogen because my nitrogen cycles are probably out of whack? Actually, I just tested every tank in the house with test strips, which I don't do that often. I'll usually test one that's looking off or something. And 3 of the 30 tanks, even red, this was the worst of them right here, was on the end here where it gets natural light, go figure, and has a deep substrate, go figure. But this was the worst of the test strips, and it's got some pink now that it's sat a while. So yeah, but I'll need to do water changes on that, but I'll have to do them like a cup at a time. It's so infuriating. An ecstatic body posture, that way of sitting is called the God seat. Okay, cool. Well, I like sitting that way, and I don't know what to tell you other than I just like sitting that way. Oh, I have a surprise to show you guys before I get out of here, and you guys can go on to either Bentley's stream, Bentley Pasco, I believe. He might be at 7. I'm definitely do that, but anyways, double check that. Or ladies' night, obviously. God didn't just have surgery. True. But look at this, guys. Look what we have. We've got another, and it's only 2 days old. It's growing fast this time. This is the Aponigeton red crispus. And yet again, we have a beautiful bud. But look at, just even sitting here one day, it's already crooked. It's got a crook in it. So I need to constantly move this thing so that it doesn't get stuck in one position and then split again, because that was the problem last time. Was it went onto the edge and then it weakened. It like blew out. It grew out on one side faster than the other, and we don't want that. But this tank is looking pretty happy. I know this isn't the best camera on the laptop to point at it. But the nitrates right now are 0, which is pretty impressive considering I'm putting a few nitrates into it. But mostly I'm putting in phosphates and potassium in this one. And then manganese, magnesium, zinc, a teeny tiny bit of copper and nickel, boron, iron, and molybdenum. I can never say this one. Molybdenum. I can't say it. Molybdenum. Molybdenum. There shouldn't be a B and then a D in a row. That's just doesn't work. But I don't want to run over the gals over at their live show if I can help it. I am feeling like this week I may be feeling better. I do have some graphic design work I'm doing for Aquatic Arts and their new website, which is going to be a marketplace for trading fish in a whole new way of doing things. But I'm doing just graphic design work for them on the side because molybdenum. Okay, thanks. Molybdenum. Yeah, I still am going to mess it up. It's one of those ones that I just can't say no matter what. Like, I don't know what's wrong with me. Yeah, so I've been doing that work, and I'll have some cool stuff to show you guys soon. And we haven't had any unboxings or orders from them, but we probably will be getting new codes from them soon. And they've been breeding a ton of shrimp in-house. They're trying to stop importing their neocaridinas and stuff and their bobaltes, and they want to just breed, and they want to be the biggest breeder of domestic bred, completely, disease-free quality lines of shrimp in America. They've got a giant warehouse, and they're doing it. So Aquatic Arts / their new venture, which will be called Vivi, VIVVY, something to take a look for. But also wanted to just show you guys this tank because everybody's looking pretty happy right now. And all the beta macrostoma are hanging out over here. They're getting bigger and bigger. Gonna need to put a lid on that 24/7 soon. For now, I'll leave it when I'm not there. But yeah, guys, if you enjoyed tonight's show, hit that thumbing button, thumb it up, and that'll help people know that I'm worthwhile, that I am worthy. We're not worthy. And hey, guys, are there people on YouTube who defend the Lacey Act and what they get paid to say such? There are people. Corvus Oskin and or Joel Christensen thinks it's going to be a good thing. Corvus Oskin, you can go watch his channel. He's done 2 videos on it, and I'm in there kind of arguing with him. I see some of his points, but I don't agree with him ultimately. And then there are some neutral people, like, I mean, Corey, for instance, is pretty neutral. He's like, oh, I don't think we should worry about it. It's no big deal. But I just get the feeling that that's probably not his real stance, because like all his money, his livelihood, all his close friends who work for him and stuff, it all matters on that. So it all depends on that. So I just have to think that it's more at stake, but he's trying to keep people calm and collected. But I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. You know, there is a lot of legislation, a lot of boogeymen in this world. And if you've been in the hobby a while, this stuff has come up a lot. The only problem is this one is coming up really vague and in a really big bill that has nothing to do with the other one that is very popular. So, yeah, that's that. All right, guys, I'm going to stop stumbling over a ladies' night and let you all go over there. If you jump into either Bentley's stream or ladies' night, how about hashtag Alex sent me? I'd love that. And then they'd know that we're sending them some love. And I'll probably be in one of those streams, one or the other too. So thank you so much tonight, guys. Super chats were out of this world. Questions were good. And I know I ranted a lot. But if you have questions that didn't get answered that you need answered, just put them in the comment section that's on below after the video uploads. And I will get to it tonight or tomorrow or whatnot. And we can talk about it. And have a great night, everybody. It's good to see you. Take care of your critters. Take care of the people around you. And, of course, take care of yourself, or you can't do those other 2. So, all right, guys, I'll talk to you later. I need to go stretch and stand and watch either Ladies' Night. Somebody has a link for Ladies' Night. I'd appreciate it. It's a adult-only show where usually a lot of the show comprises people trying to trick Jess into saying dirty words without realizing it. And then Monster Fish Gal just posted Bentley's live stream. So there's that. Thank you so much, Monster Fish Gal. Lori, you rock. The way you make me feel. The way you make me feel. All right, guys. I'm going to get out of here as soon as I see a link posted. Otherwise, I'm going to start digging for a link real quick. Good night, my dear friend Patrick. You have a good one. There's the Bentley, the Bent Lizzle. Oh, thank you so much, Brian. I appreciate it. I appreciate it greatly. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We still had super chats rolling in as I'm trying to leave you, as I'm abandoning you. I've abandoned my son. You name that movie. I drink your milkshake. Okay, I actually really have to go now. But where is the ladies' night link? Because this is ladies' night, and this is ladies' night, and it's ladies' night, and I don't know any other words, so it's ladies' night. YouTube. I'm gonna get it in there. I'm gonna get it in there because it's got people that are my friends, and I gotta promote it. Whether you want another dry, nerdy white dude talking about fish, or whether you want 4 beautiful ladies generally speaking about all sorts of debauchery, either way. Whoa. That was real loud. I'm sorry. Rosie, thank you so much for the super chat. I really appreciate it. And boom, there's the ladies' night link, hopefully. And you have the link for Bentley, too. How were staff to you, sir? Did you talk, Pat? We'll talk more. Leave a comment if you have more to say, but I'm going to go. Bye, guys. Have a great night.